Hey guys, welcome to a session on Docker for Enterprise where Chanchal Bose, the industry's leading practitioner in container orchestration, will be delivering hands-on for the next 4 days. COS or Complete Open Source Solution is organizing this workshop as a base for upcoming training delivery in OpenShift DO280. These sessions are intended to build the desired conceptual and practical foundation required for OpenShift DO280 training delivery. COS has declared LEAP 2 Virtual Summer Internship Program for BE, BTech and MCA students. LEAP 2 is the only research-based internship program in India and is a one-of-its-kind program designed by COS India in association with our education partner Red Hat Academy and technology partner Prodavance Technologies. If you intend to get trained and certified in OpenShift DO280, then we suggest you enroll for our upcoming session as a whole set of incentives are associated if you register before 31st May 2020.
Hello, welcome to day 2 of our Docker presentation. Today, to begin with, I'll do everything that we have done yesterday in next 10 minutes. So that would be a recoup of everything that we have done on the very first day. Yesterday, what we did, in fact, we downloaded one OVA virtual appliance from this URL, CentOS 7 base OVA. Once downloaded, I have already downloaded it. It is right now lying on my desktop. If I just double click this will open up Oracle VirtualBox and the virtual machine appliance or OVA virtual appliance will be imported. I just click import and the virtual machine image is imported within Oracle VirtualBox. Once imported, just right click here and do a detachable start. Detachable start has the advantage that you can send it to the background, okay, and this way you can save some disk space or real estate on your desktop. We are not going to use this virtual machine directly. The reason being, we are going to ascertain the IP address of it and use MobaXterm to log into this system, okay. So first of all, I am going to log into this system as user Vagrant, and Vagrant has a password Vagrant. Once logged in, I am going to use this command IP address IPA. I can see this system has an IP of 192.168.31.76. So in my MobaXterm, what I'll do, I am going to start a local terminal, okay. This so I think my local terminal is visible. The IP address is 31.76, okay. So 31.76, okay. As usual, password is Vagrant. Done. Next, what we'll do, we will go to our I'll type what we did yesterday. We typed docker install CentOS, docker install and then CentOS, okay. If I do this, it will take me to this docsdocker.com page. On the very first page itself, how to install Docker on CentOS. First, sudo yum utils. This is usually already installed on the systems. So I'm going to copy the next command that will create the Docker repo on your virtual machine. So here is my virtual machine. Right click, okay, paste it. So sudo yum config manager, I have entered this. What this will do, this will populate the yum repository. Once populated, we are going to install 3 packages, Docker C, Docker C CLI. All these I am copying from this help page itself. Next. So Docker is getting installed, it would be installed immediately. Once Docker is installed, your next task will be to start a Docker service. So to start that Docker service, that command is also here itself, sudo system start docker. So I'm going to copy that command too, and here it is. More or less everything is installed. There are 13 packages involved that gets installed pretty fast, and once installed we need to start Docker service. This is what we have done yesterday. Okay, so I am just repeating for the benefit of those who couldn't join early yesterday and missed some part of my delivery yesterday. So hopefully their complaint will not now be addressed. Now I am pasting that Docker start service. So here it is. If it is not visible, I am making the fonts larger. System start docker. After installing Docker, the very first command that you should be running is sudo docker run hello world. Okay, if you run this command, what will happen? Okay, precisely what it says. Hello world is a container image. First Docker will check whether it is locally available or not. If it's not available, as it says, to generate this message, Docker took the following steps. Docker client contacted Docker daemon, and then Docker daemon pulled the hello world image from Docker hub, and then Docker daemon created a new container from that image which runs the executable that produces the output you are currently reading. Okay, so this is basically a self-check method to check whether your Docker installation is all right or not. If you are seeing this message, means everything is all right. Once you have run this command suggests try to run this command, that is docker run -it bin bash. We are going to try this command. Control L to clear screen and press enter. There is a problem. I couldn't run it because permission denied. What is going wrong here? Let's check. I was trying to run this command docker run -it, that is, this is the command I was trying to run, but it has failed because an ordinary user doesn't have the authority to connect to var run docker.sock. Okay, so to overcome this, you need to run some special permissions. From the same page, that is docsdocker.com, that is right now in front of you, if you go to the end of this page, there is a post installation steps for Linux link is there. Just click this link. Okay, and if you come down a bit, there is a command sudo usermod -ag $user. Okay, you need to run this command on your terminal. Now this $user could be replaced by any user who you want to authorize to use the docker command from console. Okay, by default $user stands for the user who is running this command. $user is a variable that is created by your bash terminal. Okay, so if I enter this, now I expect to run this command. I should be able to run this command. I am failing. The reason being, my console is not aware that I have already been added to the Docker group. Okay, so to make it aware, either you can log out or you can use the new grp command. Okay, if you use the command new grp and then docker, that will make sure that your terminal is aware. Now if you run this command docker run -it ubuntu bash, hopefully it would run properly. Yes. Okay, so that's it. So now an ordinary user can run any command. So this command has made sure that I have run the command successfully and I have logged into the Ubuntu container and I am inside that container. I have also demonstrated this container doesn't have an operating system as such. So how do you know, could be sure there is no operating system? Operating system is primarily the kernel. The kernel resides in boot folder, and you can see that the boot folder is empty. But still, I say that it is an Ubuntu container image. What does it mean? It means that the binaries that are available inside this container are from an Ubuntu distribution, and usually the commands that you expect to have in an Ubuntu distribution, they are here. For example, apt update. This is an Ubuntu command. Okay, so it is working properly, absolutely all right. So that means all Ubuntu related commands are yapt update is as good as yum update on CentOS system. So that means this system is from completely accepting all the Ubuntu Linux related command, etc. Okay. So
Sir,
yes,
one
please.
question, sir. How do you get to that document? I just searched the document, an installation document. I only got the installation steps. After that, nothing I was getting.
Okay. Uh, First step, I will suggest you always use Chrome, not Edge or any other. Is it clear?
Yeah, I'm in the
Okay.
Chrome only.
Okay. Now, if you click install Docker engine, if you come to this page. Now, if you come down to the end of
Docker
this
engine.
page, you come post installation steps for Linux. Okay. If I click this, I'll straightway go to this page, and I can see this sudo user mode. Is it clear now?
Installation for desktop.
Hmm?
Okay, yeah. Now I get it.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. So, okay. So we have seen that this is an Ubuntu distribution. Ubuntu related commands are working fine. Okay. So that brings us to some additional things that we have done yesterday. And I'm not going to repeat everything that we did yesterday. Okay. So these are these steps we have already done. We have already exposed yesterday what is the architecture of Docker engine. Okay. And basically the Docker command that I use, that is basically a client command. When I use the command Docker, it connects to the Docker daemon service that is running. Here is a Docker daemon service, and this daemon service executes all the commands. For example, it pulls the image, creates the container, creates a network, and all that. Okay. Now, if you want to, if I log out of this terminal, Control D, what happens? My my Ubuntu container image will be destroyed. If I run the command docker ps, it will not show any container image running. If you do a ps minus a, that will show you that all the container images that have run. The first part of this, the container ID, and second part is image ID. What is the difference between container and image? That also I talked yesterday. Image is what gets downloaded. Container is the instance of the image that you create. Okay. So for example, we could well have run this command like this, -d, that is detached. Okay. Now what happened? This Ubuntu is running behind the scene, and now we can, our terminal is free. If I want to log into this terminal, okay, or that means I want to go inside that container. How do I do that? I execute a command docker exec, then container name. So I do not know the container name, press tab. Okay. Yes, the name of the container is possibly KinHugel or something like that. It has automatically completed. Okay, exec docker exec command will not do. I'll have to pass on some parameter -it and then bash. Okay. Yes. So I got access inside that container. Control D, I have logged out. If I do a docker ps now, okay, it will show me a container is running behind the scene. So Next, we talked about the various Docker command as such. Okay. We also talked about what is a container. Basically, a container is a set of layers. Okay, a container is created as step by step layer. How those layers gets created, possibly you are going to see that today or tomorrow when you create a container image from a Docker file. Okay, if you want to know more about this container image, for example, you can run the command docker inspect. Then here is the name of this container, Kinhigl. Kinhigl. Okay, usually Docker automatically puts a string name to your container if you don't put the name yourself. Okay, how to put that name, that you have tried yesterday also, we know that. Okay, so if you want to know detail about a running container, you can run this command docker inspect, then the container name. This container also has a network interface and an IP associated with it. If you want to ascertain this is, where is the IP address 172.70.02. So this is the IP associated with this container. Okay, so whenever you create a container, it automatically gets an
Sir,
networking.
sir, I have one doubt, sir. So
Yes.
this IP is static IP because I also tried same IP I got.
No, actually, this IP is created on the last day. I'll be talking about Docker network. Okay, on your host system, Docker basically creates a bridge device, and that Docker itself is responsible for this IP. Okay, this is not only a static IP, this is provided by a DHCP server created by Docker. Okay, so on every system it will be the same. It is not an internet IP. There could be, that could, you could be sure about. Okay, it is. Okay, so a bridged network is started by Docker, and that bridge network provides this IP address. And the 17.01 that you see, okay, this 17.01 IP address gateway that you are seeing, basically this IP has been allocated on your host system Docker 0 interface. Can you see? There is a Docker 0 bridge device created and it has an IP 17.01. So the Docker 0 bridge device itself is working as the gateway for the container. And whenever you do an yum update and something like that, your container is connecting to internet and downloading updates. How it is doing that? It is using your host interface as a bridge interface. Okay, we'll talk about all this when we talk about Docker network later on, tomorrow or day after tomorrow sometime. Okay, so okay, having said that, we also wanted to know about the various layers of a container. Okay, you can run the command docker history, okay, and then the name of an image. Okay, if you put docker history, then it will tell you the various layers that it has. Okay, a container is created step by step by in various layers. How those layers gets created, when we expose ourselves to Docker files, then we'll come to know how those layers are created. Okay, so next, yesterday we also tried to learn some Docker extra commands. That is, what are the things that we can do? You can do a Docker stop, Docker start, Docker pause, Docker unpause. All these commands could be executed on a container. Okay. Next, yesterday, what we did, we also created a MySQL database server using Docker run. Okay, today we will do what? By default, we are going to create the same MySQL database. We are going to put a twist to it in the sense that this database should use external volumes. Okay. And let's assume the latest container that we install, we are not really sure about the version of MySQL it will install, isn't it? So let's go to Docker Hub. Okay. Let's assume I am interested in a version of MySQL that is of version 5. Okay. So I'm going to search MySQL here. Okay. So the very first one has the largest amount of downloads. I click MySQL. Okay. I see that this one doesn't talk about any version as such. Okay. But view available tags. Okay. If you click that, that is also not showing anything. Okay. So this is MySQL 8.0. This is MySQL 8 5.70. Okay. So we see there is a 5 version is also available here. Okay. So you can click this. Okay. MySQL, the out Docker pull command itself has been copied. Okay. So now you can come to your terminal and paste this command. So this way you can make sure that you use Docker version MySQL 7.3 only. There is one more way of doing this. That is, if you go to the description tag itself, supported tags is this. That means if you run the command something like this, if I use my document, okay, where is my document here? So if I use the command docker run MySQL basic -d MySQL, okay, copy and paste it here, and -d MySQL, before that, at the end of it, I can put what? From this page itself, I can put 5.7. That will make sure that 5.7 version of MySQL gets installed. Is it clear? Okay, so this is the way you can install or use any version of MySQL container that is available at least in Docker Hub. From Docker Hub itself, you can verify what are the versions of MySQL that are available. You can, because MySQL version 8, there are massive amount of change has taken place is MySQL version 8. So many of the SQL commands, some of the SQL commands, basic commands may not conform to the commands that you pass on here. Okay. So
Sir, one small question, sir.
yes.
I have one question. So, do we keep the replica of container as well as a copy or something like that?
Do we keep? Okay. I would rather say you are your master. Okay. If I am creating a container, if I have a compelling reason to save it, then I'll keep it. I'll save it. And how to save it, how to store it locally, that part I'm going to cover today. Okay. So
Okay, sure. Thank you.
by default, whenever you create a container instance, okay, for example, container instance has been created. Okay. If you do a Docker PS, that will tell you the running container instances. Okay. And even if you stop this container, by default, this container image will be there till such time you remove this container by using the command docker rm then container id, this one. Okay. So MySQL basic is the command. Okay. So we have created a MySQL basic command. Okay. But the problem with this MySQL basic is if we destroy this container, the database also gets destroyed along with the container. Okay. So how do we make sure the container is not, the database is not destroyed even if I destroy the container? Okay. So to make sure, what I'll do, I will do a Docker stop and MySQL basic. Okay. And then I'm going to RM this MySQL basic. Okay. Now we are going to do something different. What I'm going to do, I will attach an external folder as part of MySQL volume. How can we do that? For that, for attaching it, you need to run a command something like this, pass on a parameter like -v. Okay, the -v parameter could be run something like this. Okay, yes. So the same set of command, only -v and the folder name. Okay, but before running the command, for example, the MySQL command was something like this. Okay, so we need to pass on a parameter -v. Let's assume the volume, which is the volume it's going to use. I'll check whether there is a home Docker folder is there or not. Okay, no, home Docker is not there. Home Docker is there? No, there is no such folder. Okay, so in my current folder itself, let's create a folder named MySQLDB. Okay, mkdir MySQLDB. Okay. Okay. Now if I run the previous command with a -v parameter, okay, the -v parameter tells use a volume. Which volume? From my current directory itself. Okay, so current directory is home vagrant, home/vagrant, and within that there is a file named MySQL DB. MySQL DB. Okay, use this. Okay, -v and then colon. It should be your var leave MySQL. Okay, so use this. Now I'm going to explain the meaning of this command. Okay, what is happening here? I hope my screen is visible to everybody. I can increase the font size. Okay, so this -v command, the left side before the colon stands for the target directory, a source, and var leave will be the directory inside the container. So inside the containers, var leave MySQL folder will be mapped to MySQL DB. I am not executing this command right now. I am going to put a hash before it just to check whether there is anything inside MySQL DB or not. Right now there is nothing there, isn't it? So now that I'm going to execute this command, with this, hopefully I have typed everything right. Okay, so it has taken place. Now if I do an ls MySQL DB, you see the MySQL DB folder has been populated. So what is happening? The moment MySQL database has been initiated, var leave MySQL folder has been mapped to home vagrant MySQL DB folder. Okay, so basically this is one way of creating your entire database on an external folder. Okay, so in this situation, even if your entire database is destroyed, there is absolutely no issue. Entire container is destroyed, database will remain. Okay, let's log into this container. Okay, name of the container is this. So we are going to use a docker exec. Okay, docker exec -it, and then name of this container. Name of this container is MySQL basic, I presume. MySQL basic, yes, bash. Okay, so we are inside the container. Okay, so MySQL command is there inside it. MySQL -u root. Okay, access denied. MySQL u root -p. What is the password? Password I just didn't check what the password. Root password is root pass. Okay, So I need to type ROOT root PASS root pass. Okay, so I'm inside the container. Okay, so I'm going to use create a database, okay, WordPress. Okay, okay. So now we have created a database, and if you want to allow any user access to that database, we can also do that. Okay, is there any user we have created with our container? Minus C MySQL passwords. The MySQL user is user1. Okay, let's try that. Grant all on WordPress dot star. If something goes wrong, I am not going to repeat this command because I am not very good at SQL as such. Occasional SQL commands I can type. WordPress MySQL grant all to user1 at the rate localhost. Okay, semicolon, grant all localhost this to user1. Okay, there is a syntax error. So localhost identified by password is CentOS. Grant all on WordPress. One WordPress to user this. Okay, so query. Okay, now you have created a database, and you have created a user, given access to the user to that database. Okay, I am going to do a Control D log out. Control D. Okay, so I have logged out of that container. Control L docker ps. Okay, docker ps. It shows that the MySQL basic is running. I am going to stop this. Docker stop MySQL basic. Okay, and then I'm going to rm this container. Okay, docker rm MySQL basic. Okay, so we have created a container. Using that container, we have created a database, created an user, allowed him the access to that password to that database, etc. But we have deleted the container. But our MySQL DB, that folder itself contains the entire database. So in a way, even though you have destroyed the container, actually you are in a position to use this database again. How? You just attach this database, okay, this folder again to this. That means if you again create one more container, okay, and if you try to, if I attach the same folder again to the newly created container, what will happen? Let's see. The container has been created. Okay, let's log into that. Do a docker exec MySQL basic. Again, we have gone inside that container. Okay, so again I'm going to run the command MySQL -u root -p. The password is root pass. Okay, so if I run the command show databases, can you see the WordPress database is still there? That means whatever that you have done here in the database earlier, even if the container is destroyed, if you have created the container with an external volume attached to it, to where live MySQL, what really happens when you destroy the container, even after destroying, your entire database gets stored in the external volume. This is one way of making sure your database content is preserved, even if the container is destroyed. And this is also a demonstration how to reuse your database with a fresh container. In container orchestration terms, this is known as persistent volume. Using persistent volume is one of the major part of container orchestration. Container orchestration, as I said earlier, is not actually in real world done by Docker. Rather, there are advanced and very professional container orchestration softwares or clusters are available, known as Kubernetes or Kubernetes distribution, OpenShift Kubernetes distribution, which are used for container orchestration. But unless you have a thorough understanding about container as such, you won't be able to containerize application and orchestrate in Kubernetes or OpenShift. That's why a thorough understanding of Docker container is very much an essential part to master Kubernetes. Okay. Later on, COS is going to introduce certification courses on OpenShift as well as on Kubernetes certified administrator and Kubernetes certified application developer. And possibly me or somebody else is going to deliver those content. But if you have, but at that point of time, possibly they are going to sell this course also, that is an understanding of Docker as such. People who have already attended this session, they will have a head start that you won't have to go through any container understanding course as such, and you can straightway join to this Kubernetes training and OpenShift training. Okay, so that's being said, we am going to do a Control D to log out, and I'm going to do a Docker PS, find out what are the containers that are running. Okay, I'm still in the container. Now Docker PS. So I can see there are two containers running. One is MySQL 5.7, that is MySQL Basic. Okay, if I want to find out the name of these containers, only container ID, what I'm going to do, Docker PS minus A Q. That will tell me all the containers. If I remove this minus A, that will tell me the container ID of all the running containers. Okay. If I want to stop all the running containers, what I'll do, Docker PS minus AQ, and I'm going to use the command Docker, okay, stop, okay, and then put a dollar here, curly brace open and curly brace closed. Okay, Docker stop this. I hope the command is clear to you all. This is known as Unix backticking or command substitution. Output of this part of the command will be forwarded to Docker stop, and Docker stop will stop all this. Now if you do a Docker stop, there will be an error because all the running processes are stopped. Okay, if I want to delete all the container images, okay, what do I do? Docker stop, instead of Docker stop, I should be using this command Docker ps minus aq. That shows all the container images. Okay, if I want to destroy all of them in one single shot, how do I do that? I'll simply use this command line again, Docker rm, then dollar bracket open bracket close. This is known as Unix backticking or command substitution. Okay, so now what will happen? Docker ps minus aq. So not a single container is there on my system right now. Okay. Next, we are going to, so as of now, whatever that we have done, that is more or less to a great extent covered yesterday, but even at the cost of repetition, this repetition was done because some of the people couldn't join yesterday, and for their benefit and also for clarity for some people raised some questions, so I have destroyed the entire thing. Okay, now let me go through any question is there on the chat window.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yes, please.
So you created the volume in your local system, but if you
Yes.
will change something inside the volume, inside the container, it will also change.
Inside the, if I make any changes inside the volume, the inside
Yeah,
the container, it will also change. Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
because
of
it is
course.
mounted.
Yes, because it is attached to that external volume content itself is attached to the container. Yes, it is pretty much self-evident. Okay, the Docker stop, it just stop the service. Docker stop doesn't stop the service. Docker stop basically stops a container, running container. If you want to stop the Docker service, system-ctl stop Docker. Okay, okay, container destroy deletes the entire files. Okay, okay. Can you please tell the difference between container destroy versus container stop? Okay, container stop doesn't destroy the container. Okay, container stop only stops it. You can restart it. Container start again will start the same container. So container remains on your system. Container destroy or container RA more or less stands for the same thing. It will make sure there is no trace left of the container on your system. Are we taking a backup of the local volume? Okay, no, it's up to you. We are not taking anything, sir. I am just telling these are the methods that are available at your disposal. Whatever that you do, whether you are going to take a backup or not, it's your own decision at the end of the day. You are the master of your system. If you feel that the system's whatever content is there that is valuable and that should be kept, a backup should be kept for it, in that case create a backup. It's so the decision is all yours. Okay, and there is any other question, please? And I start a recording cost, please mute all. Okay, mute all audience other than speaker, it's disturbing back and so yes, thank you. So okay, so I don't find
So,
any question as such. Yes,
sir,
please.
this backup in it's like a we need to take backup these files in the server, or like how backup will you manage?
See, at the end of the day, I just demonstrated if you attach an external volume, that is external folder, okay, to a container, everything that you store inside the container will be stored inside the folder. Okay, so as it is that even if you destroy the container, the folder remains. For example, in our case here, we have destroyed all the containers, but if you take a look, my MySQL DB folder is still intact. Okay,
Okay.
so in fact, even if I destroy the container, my database has already backed up in this folder because I have created or attached an external folder as the database volume. So whatever database that I have created, they are already stored inside that folder. So even if the entire thing is destroyed, all the containers are destroyed, your database remains there in that folder. Now, if you want even a further backup of this, just do a CP, okay, rsync, do an rsync of this folder to another store. So you have a double backup. Does it answer your question?
Uh, yes. Another question, sir. Now, like you have already taken, like we have a backup for my SQLD, and where
Yes.
container has already destroyed. So, if I want to use this data again, how do I use it? I need to
That's
if I
what I have
run
done
the
actually. In fact, that's what I have done actually. I have demonstrated in my previous command. See, I have reused that this folder is already there. And I have
okay,
reused my this folder again. If I again start the database with the parameter -v home vagrant MySQL DB and map it to varlib MySQL inside the container, we are going to use this folder only. This is what I was
okay,
demonstrating earlier.
okay.
Is it clear to you? And in fact, by doing this, I have demonstrated that we have created a WordPress database from one container. We destroyed the container and again we started the container again, and we saw that the WordPress database is still there. Means why it is still there? Because we are attaching an external volume, okay, where the database is stored. So that's why even if I destroy this container, the content of the previous database will automatically get loaded onto the new container instance. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Sir, last question, sir. You downloaded this this all these images from the Docker Docker.hub,
Docker Hub, yes.
Docker.hub. Yeah. So if I want to create my own like a image, is it possible in like a create or I always have to depend on like a hub.docker.com?
Okay, that's why you have joined this session. Okay, so you always don't have to depend on Docker Hub as such, but you are better off depending on Docker Hub, because with your knowledge of Docker, if you try to come up with something that may not be of professional standard, yes, you must master how to create containers. And once you understand fully well the nitty-gritties of a Docker container, then you can create your own container and you can put your own container image just like anybody else. For example, I have my own Docker Hub. Uh, I have my own Docker Hub portal images. For example, where is this? Okay, so I have my Docker Hub portal image, so you can also create yours. That is part of the learning of this particular session. Okay, within this 4 day you are going to learn. So you see in Docker Hub I already have an account, Chanchal, and these are my container images. Okay, on various occasions I have created these container images. I am destroying these container images. Okay, so how to have your own account, how to create your own container image, why you should be creating your own container image, what is the most methodical and recommended way of creating container image, that would be part of the learning. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
okay, great. So next part,
Sir,
yes,
sir, you told that DHCP server would be giving an IP address to the Docker, right?
yes, no, DHCP
Uh,
server is giving an IP address to the Docker container, yes.
okay. And one doubt is that how the Docker is working, sir, without all the privileges of we need to have some networking layer and all the things run. Right?
Your volume is breaking. Okay, so I couldn't understand half of what you said. Okay, so could you please repeat? Please bear with me.
Okay.
So
Docker need to have some networking, no, sir, actually.
Docker already have the network that we can see that it has created an IP address for the container, so that's there.
Okay. Okay. And you told one technical reason also that we are not running on the host because we need to have some kernel. You can see that boot menu is not having anything. Can you repeat that? It's
Can you
audible.
put this on a chat window, because your voice is not clear, or if
Audible,
anybody who
sir,
has
now?
understood,
Am I audible, sir, right now?
yes, you are audible.
So you told some technical reason, no, sir, that is Docker. I mean, you need to have a kernel, and in that we will be having some boot process. That what I mean to say, kernel is because you can.
What you mean to? Yes, please, I'm listening.
You told
Okay, the
some
only
reason,
reference
no,
I have,
sir, because one of the
I
reason you
told
told
some
that
reason of what?
Docker is not running on your Docker is taking all the privileges of your Ubuntu image and it's running. You told, no, sir, and because you can't see any sort of boot menu and all the things right in kernel. Can you repeat that point for me? I'm asking.
Okay. What I said, I'm going to repeat, because what you are telling me is not really. Please mute your audio. Yes. So what I said, I'm going to repeat it. I said there is an Ubuntu image I have used. Okay. Ubuntu container image I have used. Okay. But I have demonstrated that within that container image itself, there is no kernel as such. Okay. So I just demonstrated that within that container itself, there was no such thing, because the kernel is contained where? On the boot folder. So I have shown you that on the boot folder itself, there is nothing there inside. Okay. you can see this command ls boot and the output was nil. That means within the container itself, the boot folder didn't have any kernel. This is just to demonstrate that a container image doesn't have any operating system kernel. Okay, that's what I said. Only that's what I said, nothing else. Okay, so if you are under the impression if your container is a full-fledged OS, it's not. Okay, the OS related packages it has are primarily binary and dependent libraries to be used by these binaries. Usually these binaries are more often than not you associate with a particular distribution. For example, the command apt is associated with Ubuntu. Had I been using a CentOS image, it would have been yum. There will be no apt command. Okay, these are the things I have talked about. Okay, I hope I'm clear to you right now. Okay. 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 Somebody said he's asking about OS. I'm talking about OS only. So, okay. How to add an NFS share to Docker container and all that. Okay. How to add an NFS share to Docker container? Docker only understands -v. You attach a volume to it. If it's an NFS share, for example, my MySQL DB itself could be an NFS share, isn't it? Docker doesn't want to know and doesn't care about it. You just attach that NFS shared folder to it and it will start using that one also. Okay. Can you please connect C group and Docker, how they are linked in terms of isolation? I don't want to go into C groups and namespaces and all that right now today itself. Okay. Because they are a bit complex content. And if possible, time left, we'll try to delve some talk about that later on, not right now. Okay. The reason being this is primarily targeted with people who are having a very basic exposure or no exposure of Docker as such. So I'll try to avoid those complex topics like Docker file system, layered file systems, and all those overlay file systems, etc. Those things I'm not going to cover as such. Anyway, so next we are going to try with, somebody said, how can I create my own container image? Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to Docker Hub. In Docker Hub, I'm going to search for HTTP image or Apache image or HTTPD. Okay, there is appears to be an HTTPD image. Okay, Docker official image. Okay, so this is an HTTP image. Okay, so if I want to use this image to create a web service, how can I do that? Docker run, okay, -d, okay, minus name, okay, HTTP, my HTTP, okay, my HTTP, okay, and then what's it? What's the name of the image? HTTPD, HTTPD, okay. So Docker run -d minus name my HTTP. -d stands for detach. It will not engage my terminal as such. Okay. So HTTPD image is not available locally. So what is happening? It is pulling that HTTPD image and it will create an HTTP server instance on my systems. So if I do a Docker PS, that will tell me that yes, a container image has been created, my HTTP. If I want to know the IP of this, I will do a Docker inspect, okay, and then this my HTTP and then pipe grep IPA, okay. So this has an IP address this, okay. If I do a curl to it, curl is basically a command line utility for accessing an web URL. Curl HTTP : // this, okay, it works. So I get an output. It works. Okay, great. So that means our container is not only functioning, it is also serving a page. Okay, so let's stop this container. Okay, Docker ps minus q. Okay, and Docker stop. Docker stop. $this. Okay, so it will stop and it will also do a Docker rm. Okay, I'm also going to rm this image. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I have deleted the image also. Next time I'm going to run the same command. Okay, Docker run, but this time around I'm going to pass on a parameter minus p, that is port forward 8 and then colon 80. Okay, usually web service runs on port 80. So what I'm doing, left side of the colon represents the host port. Okay, and right side of the colon represents the container port. This minus p, host port colon container port, stands for forward this host port to the container port. That means if any port, just assume port is an address or door. If somebody knocks the 888 door, then he will be forwarded to the door 80 of the container. That's what port forward in a broad sense means. Okay, so we have done it. Now what we'll do, we will do a curl. So in our history, the command is already there. Okay, so curl command is there, but this time instead of 172, we are going to type localhost, means our own system, localhost, and then port 888. Okay, you see our localhost is also responding, isn't it? So what is the IP address? IPA, what is our IP address right now? 1.39. So can we access this from external my own browser here? Okay, let me try it. I'm not really too sure. We can try this. Okay, so let's try this. Edit paste. Okay, colon. Okay, yes. So my container is running inside the container of the virtual machine, but from my host system itself, I can access the container's URL served. Okay, so this is one way of serving pages from your container to the external world. So first you create the service, then you forward the port to the host port, and if somebody approaches the host port from external world, he automatically gets access to this page. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the content of this page. How can I change it? I'm going to change the content of this page, Docker ps. Okay, my HTTP, Docker exec minus IT / bin bash. I'm not really too sure whether bin bash command is there inside this container or not. Good Lord, it is there. Okay, so where from this it works line is coming. Okay, let's find out. Okay, so there is an htdocs. It appears that in this htdocs folder actually is expected to contain something here, htdocs index.html. Yes, so in that htdocs index.html, this content is there. Okay, so what we can do, we are going to do an echo. Okay, then within inverted comma, I am going to type all this, not going to type all this, rather I'm going to copy it and paste it here and change it to, okay, it is workshop. Okay, it is workshop. Okay, So I'm changing the content of it, and now I'm going to redirect it to that file. Okay. Press enter. Event not found. Okay. Okay. Bash is not being able to translate this. Okay. I'm going to make some changes because all these HTML and all these Bash is finding is very difficult. This, what is Bash finding difficult? That colon. Colon, if you can see a colon, Bash will try to translate that colon with a different meaning. If we are putting it inside double in single inverted comma, Bash will not try to translate the meaning of that colon. Okay. So exclamation. So now if we do a cat, okay, it is workshop. So if I come down here and press F5, yes, the file has changed. Okay. So this is one way of using one container, okay, and changing it content and thereafter reusing that container to create your own container. Okay, now that I have changed this container's content, if I do a control D, okay, now I am going to stop this container, that is docker stop. Okay. Okay. So this is the container that we have created. Okay. And now we are going to use this container as our base. Okay. So this is the chapter, or this is the thing that I was talking about, creating an image from a container. Okay. We have, you can create a container, okay, just like this, okay, and update that container. Okay. There is some background noise is coming. Okay. So how to save your image? Okay. Okay. So you can use this container, Docker container export. This is the command line, Docker image import, Docker container export. These are the Docker export command itself will also do. Okay. Or Docker image save, output my Apache 2 tar. Okay. To my Apache 2. So, okay. So Docker image save. Okay, what is this? Hello world Ubuntu HTTPD. No, these are not my images. Docker container. Docker container. Okay, prune rename dashboard. Docker container. And Docker container, I can find there's a command like export. Okay, so Docker container export, then it automatically has completed this thing, Docker container export my HTTP. Okay, so if I do this -o flag to redirect, that means -o flag stands for redirection. Okay, I want to export this file, but you need to put an output file name. Let's assume I'm going to name it as my HTTP tar. My HTTP tar. Okay. Okay. If I do an ls, you'll find my http.tar, a new file has been created. Okay. This is my container image. If you want somebody else to export this, okay, so you can export this. Okay. So how do I import this as an image on my database? That is, right now, if I do a Docker images, what will happen? you'll find that these are the images that I have already downloaded earlier, MySQL, Ubuntu, HTTPD, etc. But my HTTP, that is the custom container that I have just created, that image is not here. So how to do that? Docker import, okay? Import, then my HTTP dot tar. Is it sufficient? Okay, great. So if you do a Docker images, you see an image has come, but it doesn't have a name. But this is our container image. It doesn't look good, isn't it? All the containers has some names. Images have a name, but the container image that I have created, it doesn't have a name. It does not look good. How to put a name to it? You can do a Docker tag. Docker tag, okay? Then image ID this, okay? This, and tag it as my HTTPD, my HTTP, okay? Okay, now if you do a Docker images, you see it has now a repository tag, okay? So I am going to repeat the whole process to you of creating your own container image step by step. What did I do first? The first thing I did, create a container instance. Container instance. Okay. For example, here this was what? My HTTP. Okay. This is the first thing. Then make changes to the container by doing a docker exec. That is docker exec and -it inside that container my HTTP. Okay. Okay. And then make changes inside the container. Make changes in the container. Okay, in the container, what are the changes that we have made? We have made changes to index.html file. Index.html file we have made changes to. Okay, so this is the file we have made changes. Now, once you have made changes, you stop the container. Thereafter, first thing that we did was we Docker container export. This is the command we used to save our container image as a tar file. Okay. In our next command, what we did, Docker import. Okay. We did an import. Okay. And that really imported the container image onto our image database. Okay. So now if you do a Docker images next, that itself was something terribly wrong with the name. So we wanted to rename it. So what did we do? We retagged that file so that it should have a proper container name. Up to this, everybody is clear? Hello. Okay, let me check if there is any comments here. Okay, you said good. Okay, after that, please mute yourself. Okay, yes, please go on mute. Please go on mute. Okay, yes. So as of now, it appears that everybody is comfortable with whatever I have done. Okay. So up to this, if you have any question, you can always put your questions here. Now, what I'll do, let's assume node port, host port, node port, host port, all these commands, all these concepts are associated with Kubernetes, okay? Because Docker doesn't have a node, okay? Only Kubernetes is associated with a node. Each node hosts the containers, okay? So a node port, a container port could be associated with a node port. Or OpenShift will have a concept like node port and host port. In pure, simple, plain simple Docker, node doesn't come into the reference at all, okay? Can Docker commit be used for saving the? Yes, you can also do a Docker commit to save the changes in container. Yes. So basically, we can do a Docker commit to commit our changes inside the container. Okay. So by doing a Docker commit, you make sure that you have all the changes that you have done inside the container are in there. Okay, so let us try to see whether that Docker images, our changes are there inside the container or not. Okay, so we are going to create a container Docker, okay, run, okay, -d, okay, localhost / my HTTP. Okay, HTTP, my HTTP latest, okay, locally. Unable to find the image, this is okay. Okay, so there is some problem in using this image. I'm doing something wrong with my command itself. Okay. No, it's not. Okay. Okay, let's tag it something like this. Okay. So if you want to push the image to a registry, that should be hosted locally, but I don't have a registry hosted locally. So I need to create a local registry. How do I create a local registry? Okay, that brings us the topic, how can you create your own local registry? Okay, so to create a local container registry, you go to Docker Hub. Okay, in Docker Hub, if you just type registry, okay, that will take you to a container named registry. Actually, using this container, you can create a local Docker container registry. Just like Docker Hub, you can have your own local container registry. Okay. So how to create a local container registry? We are going to use this container. Okay. That is registry. What is the command you need to run? Don't worry. This itself will give you the entire command to use this particular file. That is docker run -d -p restart always -name registry :2. Okay. So if you run this command on your terminal, what will happen? This will download the registry :2 image and it will create a container instance named registry the port of the registry port will be forwarded to local port 5000. Okay, so let's see whether it is working fine or not. Downloaded newer. So a container has been created, Docker PS, and it is listening on port 5000, and that port 5000 has been okay. Now what we'll do, we will tag our my HTTP2 Docker tag. Okay, this we are going to tag as localhost 5000 / my HTTP. We are retagging this image. Why you have to retag while retagging? Why you are putting this host name? The reason is, now if you try to push this image, okay, if you do a Docker images, it will tell you that there is an this is 10 minutes ago, 4 hours ago, hello world, the my HTTP. This one is the latest one, and we can push it to the local Docker push. Docker push. And image does not exist locally. Okay. With the tag localhost : tag, an image does not exist locally. Okay. It is by default trying to push it to where? Docker.io. I want this should be pushed to localhost. Localhost spelling has a problem. Localhost has a problem. Okay, tag localhost. An image does not exist, cannot put my HTTP. This push refers to a repository localhost my HTTP. The image does not exist locally. Docker push options -name tag. Tag is latest. Tag is latest. Docker push shelf option name tag push an image or repository to a repository registry. Okay, something is going wrong. I'll check it later on. Okay, Docker pull Ubuntu, Docker tag Ubuntu, localhost : Docker tag Ubuntu, Docker push localhost. So the command is same, Docker pull, Docker tag Ubuntu. This we have already tagged it, and we have already tagged it. Is there something wrong with our tagging? Docker tag, last command is Control R. Yes, there is a problem with the naming itself, local host. Okay, so this is the problem, my HTTP to localhost. So, and this is commented out. Okay, so this is the problem. Now if I try to push Docker push, this is expected to work. Yes. So where things went wrong, I did an incorrect tagging. The tag name itself was incorrect. So everything was going haywire. So localhost spelling was wrong. So what we have done here, we created a local container registry. We created our own container image and pushed it to the local container registry. And whoever has access to this container registry, he can use this container registry. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the session of today. And if you have any question, you can put your questions here on the okay. Actually, somebody, you have to rename the tag with, I believe, yes, we have renamed the tag, but the tag itself was wrong. Spelling was localhost, spelling was incorrect. So that's why, and somebody pointed out localhost spell mistake. Okay. And I didn't know, I discovered it later on, and that caused all the problem. Okay. How do I check the listening ports of the container which are created? Listening ports of the container which are created. Okay, that's a good question. For example, we have created a container. Okay, so whatever containers are there, if you do a docker ps, okay, minus a, so these are the containers. For example, here is my HTTP. On which port it is listening to, you can do a docker inspect. Okay, docker inspect. Okay, then my HTTP grep port, grep minus I port. Okay, so you can see ports, host port this, exposed ports this. Okay, grep host port this, false. Okay, or else you can do a pipe less, my HTTP less. Okay, so which is the port it is listening to, /port port is not found.
Sir, we can
Yes.
write docker ps minus l.
Docker ps minus l.
Hmm.
Docker ps minus lq. Okay, docker ps command itself will wrong work. Okay, so this one is 5000. This one is for registry all the running ports. If the container is running, then you can see this which port it is listening to. Okay, so absolutely no issues. But if it is not running, okay, if it's not running, in that case, what is happening? In our case, my HTTP is not running. Docker ps, okay, minus l, it will not show me because HTTP is not running. Okay, actually, later on, we are going to do a Docker file. In a Docker file, actually, you define on which port it is going to listen. Okay, in fact, tomorrow we are going to start a session on Docker file. For example, we have used this HTTPD image. Okay, it has an associated Docker file. For example, let's see, this is the Docker file. Okay, if you click this, it will straight away take you to GitHub repository, and here you'll find it has already defined a port, which port to be exposed. Okay, expose 80. So by default, in the Docker file itself, it has defined on which port to listen. And when the container instance is created, it will listen to this port. But your -l command you can only use if the container is running. If the container is not running, then you need to do an inspection of the existing or the Docker file. Okay, tomorrow we are going to talk about Docker file as such and how to create a complete container image using a Docker file, and thereafter pushing that container image to Docker Hub. Okay. Okay. Any other question today? Can we assign more than one port to container? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Space separated ports. More than one port could be exposed. Are we going to discuss more about Docker volumes? No, we are not going to discuss more about Docker volumes. The reason being, Docker volumes are not used at all in real world kind of scenario. Why? Because Docker is not used in real world kind of scenario. The containers are used in Docker containers are used in Kubernetes or OpenShift. There in Kubernetes on OpenShift, volume attaching volume itself is a very complex, sophisticated chapter. How to create persistent volumes, attaching persistent volumes, creating persistent volume claims, all these, a very sophisticated way of attaching the volumes are done in Kubernetes and also in OpenShift. Okay, so that's why we are not going to delve too much onto Docker volumes. The things which you are not going to use in future anyway, they are not of any use. Can you share the document on PPTs? If possible, yes. I'll talk to the people who are in charge of this and they are going to share it. Okay. So during Docker networking session, are we going to touch the base with Docker Swarm? No, we are not going to touch with Docker Swarm as such, because Docker Swarm is anyway, we are not going to use anywhere. So we are not going to use Docker Swarm. Okay. And real world Docker Swarm, Docker itself is discarding Swarm and embracing Docker Kubernetes. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Okay. During whatever commands that I've used, I'll definitely share this content to you, the commands that I've used with you also. How to use Docker commit. Okay, we are also going to show a Docker use commit. So Docker engine is used in Kubernetes. So Docker engine is not used in Kubernetes, sir. Okay. Kubernetes uses completely something different. Okay. So CRIO and Docker engine is not used in Kubernetes. Most overlay networks are we going to discuss? No, we are not going to discuss an overlay network. Ashmat, please share the yesterday's commands as well. Okay, yes, we are going to share that too. Okay. Are you guys coming to cover K8 and K8s in later course? Yes, definitely this is the precursor to K8s course as such, but there is no assurance that will also be a free course. Okay, because that course will be a K8s certification course, and that part will be taken care of, and possibly you are going to get some sort of announcement regarding that here itself. So you can join if you feel like. There could be some pilot classes for Kubernetes or K8s2. So if that happens, they will have definitely get a reference or get an intimation to that. What's the difference between Kubernetes and OpenShift? Okay. Kubernetes is the container orchestration engine. OpenShift on top of Kubernetes creates a special layer that actually increases a whole set of new functionalities that not only makes using Kubernetes easier, but also provides many additional things that is making it more suitable for DevOps kind of environment. Okay. And more importantly, OpenShift brings into the fold Red Hat certified container images, very advanced and sophisticated container images like JBoss EAP and so many others. You can have a Docker also as a container daemon in Kubernetes. Okay, yes, all those possibilities are there, but why should I be using Docker as a container in Kubernetes? Okay, thank you very much, sir. You are being very helpful. Okay, okay. So with that, I'm calling it a day. Okay. So tomorrow, same time at 10. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.